Hello and welcome everyone, I am Madals and welcome to Game 2 of this best of 3. I forgot to mention in Game 1 this is from Go for SC2. And of course let me introduce the two players who you should all know already if you came from Game 1. It is of course the orange Protoss in the top right, the one, the only, Adel. His opponent in the lower left, the blue Zerg player, it is Zazu. And so far Zazu is one game up after going for an early pull with some early speedlings that only killed a few probes, but it was the follow-up that caught Adel off guard. It was those 12 speedlings. Unfortunately, the force field slightly late, allowing them into the main base, and as such the sentries were going to die, and Adel was forced to GG out. But of course, Game 2 is where all the fun will come. Are we going to see a similar aggressive opening from the Zerg? It would appear not so far. Are we going to see Adel go for the one-gate expansion? It could very well be the case. Already an alteration in Adel's build, going for this earlier probe, ready to go and see, hey, is there a spawning pool out? Is there any gas out? Because there was no scouting Game 1 for Adel. That was a real critical thing. So, currently, there's pylon just here. Are we going to see a gateway? Are we going to see a forge in the main? Are we just going to see a nexus first? Those are the different options. The gateway is going to go down though, so that is fine. Adel not altering it up too much, just going for a potentially aggressive opening. We do see here that it was quite an early pull and extractor. The extractor was before the pull, but the probe coming in to scout this just means that Adel can get in a position in order to defend this. Sees the gas, sees the pull, and as such, you know, well, aggression, early speed will be on its way. How do I respond to that? I can just get into a nice fortified position. I can get maybe a second gateway if I see a lot of speedlings come out. I'm just going to leave this probe here to get a good read on what my opponent's going to throw at me. Because once I know that, I know how much I need to produce in order to defend it. The gas is now mining. We should see a cybernetics core thrown down. There we go. And this is all just piecing together as we'd won. The 6 Zerglings yet again on the way out for the Zerg player. So this is yet again an aggressive opening. Speed started, all drones pulled out of the gas once there was the 100 there, purely to get speed, transitioning into the hatchery most likely. Of course this probe will go down. The 6 Zerglings have now been spotted. Chrono boosts most likely will get spent on that gateway, or at least the next one will get out a couple more Zerglings. We've got a few more pylons coming down as well. Just really trying to create a more contained location. The second gas is different to Game 1 as well now. The probe has somehow managed to survive Zazu, completely ignoring it, but is taking the expansion behind. Identical build to Game 1. And of course, why fix it if it isn't broken? We do now see there's this second gateway coming out. This is creating a nice little wall off here, which prevents those speedlings or Zerglings from running around doing, basically poking in and out. Of course the Zeta can just sit there quite comfortably. The probes do need to be careful though. You don't want too many probes going down, but so far none have been killed. Adel pulling them back very carefully, losing a bit of gas mining time, but that's fine as long as he doesn't lose any workers for the moment. We do see the sentry has now hit the field. What are we going to see out next? Probably another sentry is most likely once the gas comes up. The speedlings trying to run around. They may try and go for this pylon, but of course if they attack the pylon, the sentry is able to just take 3 shots at them, deal 3 damage. So we're up to 100 gas there, and there we go now with the sentry coming up. This pylon getting focused, but as we can see, more pylons and more little bit of a choke. The Zealot is engaging in a good force field, means that the Zealot will survive, it will not get surrounded, and as such, Adel is dealing with this in an effective manner. This pylon though is looking as though it could go down. Good micro from those Zerglings, and with a pylon falling, that does temporarily supply block Adel. That's very frustrating, getting supply blocked at any stage of this game, but a lot of the Zerglings have been taken out. Only 2 remain on the field. Behind this, for the Zerg player, we do of course have the natural base up. Worker count wise, very equal. We've got additional queens on their way, so this is the second queen. Double injects will now start hitting. We're mining gas yet again. Speed is of course complete, and as we can see, Adel, feeling like the pressure's off, is just going to go and take the expansion. The worrying thing though will be that Game 1 saw this exact thing happen. The expansion get taken, but then a big rush of speedlings. It was only 12, but it's enough to overpower a force such as this. So no doubt Adel will be playing it extra safe in case a similar follow-up does occur. Loving these 2 Zerglings, just sitting out here at the moment. These are just there to say, hey, when's my opponent moving out? Is he moving out, and can I deny any map vision? That's the most important thing. The double gas following this up, as well as the spine crawler. So going up to 4 gas off of 2 bases, and now getting the lair, that screams it could be Mutalisks. That is ultimately one of the things you would consider doing in this situation. It could also be a quick tech up to Infestors. That is also a viable strategy in this situation. All the timings have been thrown off just due to how long they were both microing around here. We see additional gateways are now up for Adel, going up to 3 gates, plus the robotics facility, plus these 2 additional gateways about to complete as well, will take him up to 5. 5-gate robo will be able to get an awful lot of units out very quickly, and will hopefully be able to apply some pressure to Zazu. And it all just really depends what Zazu chooses to go for upon this lair finishing. I'm 90% sure it's going to be a Spire, just due to how many spine crawlers are coming down. The only reason you get this many spine crawlers is if you think, I'm going for an harassment heavy build such as Mutalisks. If a head-on engagement came, I wouldn't win it. I need static defense. Also, of course, the gas is the key important thing. And there we go, the Spire is now getting started, being put out of the way a little bit, just to try and hope that it might get scouted slightly later. And now it's just up to Adel to make sure that he gets out a good number of Stalkers, maybe a cannon or 2 in the middle line if he scouts. So we've got some speedlings coming across, and my goodness, if these speedlings come in at the right moment, a counter-attack could be absolutely brilliant. And I forgot to put my status as busy, but luckily Adel does have that Zealot there, completing the wall off, but this is buying Zazu time. We see this gateway force pulled back to try and deal with the speedlings. We see down here for Zazu now, we've got additional spines coming out underneath those overlords, so they are hiding down there, but that's fine. I can cope with that. Meanwhile though, coming through, we've got these sentries, we've got these stalkers, we've got a proxy pylon coming down ever closer towards Zazu's base. He is going to have to defend this well. The Spire is still 23 seconds away from completion, and that is the problem. But as we can see, these speedlings are just chipping away at a gateway. A sentry getting warped in. That will be able to deal with everything there. And look at this force coming in. There was a lot of spine crawlers though. There's quite a lot of speedlings coming out as well. And Adel will have to be very careful should he want to push into this. The 11 muters are also on there. And with those 11 muters on their way, of course this force is going to be pushed back. It's going to have to wait. Adel has to be careful. And of course, seeing this many spine crawlers is always going to blow up your radar that, ooh, maybe there's gonna be muters on the way. Why else would he have so few units on the ground and so many spine crawlers sitting right there? Of course, getting the forge now just means that Adel can start the production of photon cannons. We've got the Mutalisks on their way over. We do have a grand total of 11 on the field, 2 more on their way. And the speedlings still running, still making sure that any pylons that are down, the muters can avoid, so they don't get detected till the last minute, and they do just manage to skirt round. I don't believe they were noticed, and this is going to catch Adel completely off guard. He is trying to get a photon cannon up ASAP, but is it going to be enough in time? Well, we see a second one now starting. The natural is going to take quite a lot of damage. Where are these muters going to go? They're coming into the side, they're picking off the workers. They need to engage the stalkers if they're going to, or they need to get out there so they don't take damage. One muter just surviving, but a great little warp in here from Adel is going to deny this muter play so beautifully. And we can see now that obviously Zazu is in a lot of problems because he's getting his 3rd base up. That's great, but of course a big commitment going for 13 Mutalisks early game, and if your opponent counters them as Adel has here, then you are obviously not going to get the return on investment that you need in this situation. Up come the muters. They're going to go for wave 2. The observer knows precisely where they are, though. That's going to allow Adel to move these stalkers into a position to deal with it. He's also got 2 cannons in each mineral line. These muters are not going to have fun times. This is not a party that they were invited to. And as we can see, the stalkers just chipping away, getting a couple of muters. One stalker fell though, so that's a good little win, but losing the muter to a stalker is going to benefit the Protoss player. Still though, Zazu is committing to these Mutalisks, up to 14 already, getting another 3 out as well. We do have the 3rd base up and running though for Zazu, who's getting up some spine crawlers to make sure he's defending against big ground pushes. But the concern is always going to be the fact that these Stalkers' numbers are incredibly quickly increasing. They've got blink, they're about to have, well, they've got +1 up now, and of course that just means that it's 1-0 Muters against 1-0 Stalkers, with the 3rd base getting secured by the Protoss player. And this just means that Zazu needs to take his 4th. He needs to secure that 4th base to stay economically in a good spot. He is slightly ahead in the worker count, but only by a fraction. Is just committing so heavily to all of these Mutalisks. He's going up to 17 and he's got 5 more on the way. This is the mass Mutaplay that we've seen, at least on my channel, quite a few Zergs be successful with. I'm thinking mainly of the game with In Control, where he took some damage, but Zazu, he's in a good spot. He's getting up the Dark Shrine in order to get DTs out. That's predominantly for the Archons. Archons deal very well against Mutas due to doing that insanely good splash damage to air. And of course Zazu, he's just taking down his Infestation Pit. He's teching up just as he normally would, but these Mutas need to start harassing. With only 4 workers killed this entire game, and a grand total of 24 Mutas out, if they don't do enough, it's going to run into problems. Some Speedlings coming into the third, trying to act as a bit of a distraction, but there's a lot of units there. Meanwhile, back at the natural where these Mutas are going to try and punch in, there are 3 cannons and quite a few Stalkers, but there are a lot of Mutalisks there as well. They are going to try and go for it, just hitting those Stalkers down ASAP, pushing in, pulling out. Of course, these Mutas do not have the increased health regeneration that they do in Heart of the Swarm, so you do have to be a lot more careful with them. Meanwhile, I'm just taking a look at this observer, trying to get good map vision around, seeing, hey, what's happening, where are these units coming from, how much of a commitment to more Mutas are there going to be, and unfortunately cannot see this 4th base yet, but once it's finished, the creep spread will obviously reveal its location. For Zazu, he's still just running these Mutas around, trying to get anything he can, getting more spines up. He's obviously got his Infestation Pit there, he's getting Pathogen Glands as well as the +1 Carapace. So this is such a huge commitment to Mutas. 30 now out on the field. Is he going to try and poke in? Is he going to try and engage? Of course, the cannon count up to 3 now at each base. A good number of Stalkers sitting there around the natural, which seems to be the focus of Zazu's aggression so far. The main is somewhat left open, so that's something you do need to be careful of. But in come the Mutalisks now. They're just engaging head on here. They're trying to pick off some Stalkers and managing to do a good job. The sentries are also going to start taking a lot of damage here, but the cannons are just chipping away, and that means Zazu does need to fall back. We can see in terms of the resources lost that it's relatively equal. Adel having lost just a little more, getting up those gateways, the additional gateways, in order to keep producing. He's getting some DTs out in order to make these additional Archons, and all in all, he's just gonna go and kill his opponent. But look at this, the Mutas coming in. They are going to be able to pick off these cannons very simply. This 3rd base is pretty much forfeit now, but the 4th base of Zazu is definitely going to be going down should Adel want it, but instead pushing up. But look at the Spine Crawler wall. They are just never ending pretty much. There are so many there blinking forward, trying to slide them down as quickly as he can. The poking and prodding, the fungal growth does hit from the infestors, and with this Stalker army is falling ever so quickly. The Mutas are returning, and of course they've already ransacked the 3rd base of Adel, and the hatcheries have remained for Zazu at the moment. Adel just being forced to try and pick off these Spine Crawlers. The 2 Archons unfortunately do fall. A fungal growth hits yet again. The Mutas coming in and will clean up the rest of this. Of course, these Stalkers and a few sentries will have to retreat ASAP. And while a lot of Spine Crawlers died, all in all, the worker count is looking quite comfortable now for Zazu. He's still got these bases up, which means that he's in a nice spot. And Adel is going to take a lot longer to recover in terms of the economy than the Zoo will, having lost those spines. The Muta count's still up at 25. The Infestors coming out now, obviously playing a big part. We do not have Hive yet. That's the important thing to see. And of course, Adel does see it, but look at this. Wave 2 of the push coming through. The Mutas are here. The Infestors are here. What is Adel going to be able to do? He's trying to engage, but the Zerglings come streaming in. The Force Wheels hit as fast as they can, but there's a small gap, allowing everything to come through. The fungal growth starts hitting. The Mutas are just chipping away at these Stalkers. They seem to be melting to the combined efforts of fungal growth and Mutalisks. A couple of infested Terrans getting lobbed over, and there is the GG in what was a longer macro game. Zazu was able to take it from Adel just with this mass Muta play and the mass Spine Crawlers. My goodness, did I enjoy it, and I hope each and every one of you did as well. Make sure you like the video, make sure you leave a cool comment, and of course subscribe, because I get new games up every single day of the week. Thank you though all for watching, and I hope to see each and every one of you again tomorrow. Bye for now.